G'day guys, welcome to another series of Darwin's Keeping Up with KUWK, originally launched in 2016 and we're still going strong in 2018. I know 2Ps in a Pod has taken a little break. That's because young Gowers is over in the US soaking up all the knowledge of the digital world, having a little break as well. Him and Fiona's beautiful wife, I think they left the kids here. But today, make no exception. We've had wonderful guests throughout the years since launching it in 2016. We've had awesome people like Tony Rudd from Free Being. We've had the Dash Media, Headley and the lads. We've had Murray Claire Boothby. We've had John McKenzie. But today, they're without exception super excited. We have the wonderful Sally Illingworth coming in today. She is from Darwin. I'm not going to give too much away on the intro because I want to do it with her. I think her energy is amazing. I haven't met her in person yet. We just know each other through Facebook, LinkedIn. I also, the way I got to know her was through her sister. I'll stop talking now because the awesome Sally Illingworth is live in the studio.
In the studio.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm pumped. I'm checking out your awesome studio that's all self-done.
Yeah,
that
that's
looks
right.
Sick. And you taught yourself all the tech stuff.
Taught everything myself. We had a little brief discussion at the back.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, I actually worked out the attention was actually changing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't morally or ethically correct to go to someone and say, hey, give me $2,500. I'll put your property in the newspaper. Yeah. When it doesn't sell, I'll come back to you after give me $2,500. Give me another $1,000, and we'll give you another 2 ads. It costs, and then we'll reduce the price and sell it. That was wrong.
Because you put wigs on and stuff like that, right?
Well, at the time when I started doing the theme videos, I got one of the best mentors, Glenn Twiddle. He teaches some of the best agents in Australia. I got him on board as my coach early on, and he says, you got to be out there, you got to be authentic. So I started marketing so differently. For the next 2 years, the industry didn't like me. They said, They just said, he's a clown, he's making us look stupid, he's not professional, you're meant to be like, like this. And I stuck with it. I believed in it.
Yeah.
I used to get private messages on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You're a clown. But then what happened, Sally? Phones started to get a little bit smarter. They started to get a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And I was already marketing where most of the attention was going.
Yeah.
So that's
so they were already behind. Yeah. But that's what a lot of people do in a lot of industries, though. They don't want to change. And when things start changing, they go, oh, this is fucking bullshit.
Correct.
Everything's changing.
Correct.
Now, change is good, right? And if you jump on it first before everyone else, then you certainly get a foot above the rest. Yeah, wow. Even, like I was saying earlier, Ernie Chin, when I was speaking to him last night, he's like, no one reads the fucking newspaper anymore. Yeah,
but a lot of them still do that today.
But how can you measure the ROI on that? So
I recently aired out a mortgagee company. At the moment, it's tough up here, right?
Yeah.
And I was asked to do a mortgagee proposal for a family that essentially couldn't pay their home. So I put this proposal forward, and I said, the way that we do things is we use video and we use social media. Now, with social media and video, I could show you how many views, how many people have engaged, how many people like.
Yeah.
They said, oh, no, you can't monitor social media. We rather than newspaper.
What the fuck?
I'm thinking, are you acting in the best interest of Territorians?
You can't monitor social media.
Yes. Now.
You're crazy.
Yes. Now, let me get into this. Guys, sorry about the little rant about real estate. I might try to chop it out and move it forward. But I want to talk about Sally, right?
Okay.
Now, Sally, most recently, the way I connected with her was through LinkedIn and through your sister, but I loved how authentic you were. I love your energy because I've been doing this business thing for a while.
Yeah.
I'm more focused on energy now rather than the person.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Energy is a lot of the feedback I'm getting from my videos is people are saying your energy is awesome because they're saying a lot of people just produce really sterile content. I mean, yours has a shitload of energy, a lot of energy. And that's why I think people like it. But I think the industry you're in, there's probably still quite a few skeptics and they go, well, I'm not sure about this.
That's right.
But even on LinkedIn, people go, this is not professional. It's like, it's energy, man. It's passion.
Yep.
Like, what's wrong with that?
Oh, my word.
We're not living in the boardroom, for Christ's sake. Like,
Look, she's humble. Ladies and
now
gentlemen.
I'm getting worked up.
She's humble. I can't believe how humble she is. Now, Sally is what I like to call the future of marketing. She's an influencer. She's genuine. People connect with her. If you get it in, you'll need her to promote your brand in the future. Let me put that down now, and let's go revisit this in 2-3 years' time, where your brands are actually using you to market. Now, Sally, you were recently honoured. What's this? Can you tell me a little bit about this powerhouse thing?
Yeah, so a woman, I forget her name. What was her name? She put something up on LinkedIn talking about powerhouses, and
Shelley?
Yeah, Shelley. And she put up a few different categories. So people that are good at talking about, for example, happiness, trust, and all that sort of stuff. And she named me as one of them. And I think she actually named me about energy.
Right. Oh, funny that.
Yeah. And no, sorry, she was talking about age.
Okay.
Because I obviously being quite young and all that sort of stuff. And I sit there and go, my age is not my ability. And
I love that.
She like recognized me, and I was like, holy shit, like this is getting serious. People are recognizing content. And I think that goes back to what you were talking about before. In terms of doing content that has shitloads of energy, people love it.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter what you're talking about, because people are, day-to-day work.
Yeah.
Everyone's so sterile and boring that they just need a little bit of life. So it's almost like, I don't care if you're talking about real estate or anything. I just want your energy, because most people don't have that energy. They lose it.
There you go.
They get really sterile in their careers, and then, it's just like shitty working environments.
Now, on top of that, I live in Parap, and home office in Parap, and we've got a new favourite pizza shop. And I'm not saying this because you're here. Did I not? What did I Instagram you last week?
You sent me the Instagram, yeah.
5 pizzas.
That was awesome. That made my day.
Yeah, so you've got upper crust pizza?
Yeah, so we've got the upper crust range, which is like our premium range.
Yep.
So the rectangular ones.
Whoops. Yep, sorry. And the name of your business? Apologies.
Crust Pizza Parap.
Crust
Gourmet Pizza Bar, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I'm a little pizza princess in Parap, yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about the 20,000 pizzas mission, or is it
20,000, the one yesterday with raw...
Well, I looked on your LinkedIn. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, 200,000 pizzas,
I apologise.
So,
there you go. Okay. What are you talking about, KUWK's 20,000? 200,000.
Okay, so the story with that is background on the pizzas. So I've been working with Crust for just over 6.5 years now.
Right.
And over the course of the 6.5 years, I calculated that with my own 2 hands, I would have made in the vicinity of 200,000 pizzas, right? Physically made them myself, not eaten. Some people ask me like, you ate 200,000 pizzas? I'm like, no, made. Like,
you've hustled and you've done...
Put some pepperoni on there, some cheese.
That is inspiring.
And then the reason I put it on LinkedIn is because I'm not sure if you've seen, but quite a few people, particularly, for example, people who are in like the venture capital scene and such, they'll put on there, for example, how much money they've raised. So maybe I've raised over $200 million.
Sure.
And I see that quite often. And I thought, that looks really impressive. And I'm like, but I haven't really raised shitloads of money. So I was like, I'm going to play on that and put a figure in there. But what figure can I put? And I was like, I'm going to put how many pizzas I made. So I was like, it's a little bit ridiculous. But I was like, people probably think I'm a joke. But I was like, you know what? I'm proud of that.
Oh, my. You are far from a joke. As I said, you are an influencer, and anyone who gets to hear this, it's a blessing that you...
And I'm so excited to be here.
You should be charging for this content.
Why?
Well, you should be. I'm just saying.
Why?
Because you don't get this kind of authenticity, even from...
I love it, though.
I'm going to switch it again a little bit to... we have REC, which is the Australian-wide National Real Estate Conference, right? And a few real estate agents in Australia have worked out now, most recently, that you actually don't get that much... from our mentors anymore, because it's almost to a point we've overtaken our mentors.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to sound like a dick, but
no.
We used to learn from our elders, right?
Yeah.
But it's now our elders can't teach us. They need to learn from us.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. I was talking to someone the other week about that, actually. And, for example, large corporations, they'll have like a board of advisors.
Yep.
So they're independent to the company and they advise the managers, right?
Yep.
And this person was saying to me, they said, in the past, it's been about on your board of directors, you might have, diversity in terms of the industries they come from and gender. Gender's always the big one. We need males and females.
Right.
And this person was saying to me that they need to start exploring diversity with age as well, because they said a lot of the people running companies now, the world's changed so quickly.
They've disconnected.
And younger people understand it far better. So we need diversity in terms of age on boards so that the companies can keep up because they don't get it.
Oh, let me add to that. So one of the greatest moments for me was, I know Mark Zuckerberg sat in front of Congress for 2 days. Now, I actually watched the 14 hours.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. Because I've been preaching this in my previous podcast.
Yeah.
And it sort of validated what I've been saying. Because for the first time in a while, after those 2 days, Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook stocks rose. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, someone did tell me that. Yeah.
But the underlying thing of this that I was so proud of is you have the world's biggest economy, you have the bosses of the world's biggest economies hammering one little dude, right? And he made them all look silly.
Yeah.
And that proves my point as one little young innovator can overtake the world's biggest economy.
You're exactly right. I didn't watch the full 14 hours.
Sure.
Good on you. That's fucking awesome. But I did see a few snippets, and I think they were snippets people had sort of pulled together as a joke because it was funny.
Oh, yeah, the joke
and
one.
And some of the questions, that they're asking him, for example, how do you, something to the effect of like, how do you survive in business? How do you make money? And he's like, we sell ads.
Congresswoman, we sell advertising.
Yeah. It's crazy, but and some of the questions they asked, you can tell that they actually don't understand the way the world has changed and how a lot of the way Facebook operates and all that sort of stuff, that's the world we live in today.
Yeah.
But the questions they ask demonstrate that they do not understand that, so they're trying to play catch up. So how can you actually investigate someone if you don't even understand the basics of their business?
So it ties with everything we've been saying.
Yeah. Yeah, change is a big one. So what's like with you, the way you market in real estate? Do you still cop shit for it now?
No, not as much, and I'll tell you why. So, started doing videos, and apart from YouTube, so I'm not trying to brag here, but, I've got the most viewed YouTube channel in the Northern Territory for a real estate channel.
Wow.
Right? Real estate's boring.
So bigger than like your Ray Whites and stuff like that?
Okay, I'm going to say this. I haven't said this before, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I want you to combine all your big agencies, right? Your blues, your reds, your yellows.
Yeah.
I want you to combine the 4 biggest.
Yeah.
I want you to put them all together. So that could be a total of 70 agents.
Yeah.
Right, there's only 2 of us, and it's a team of 4. We've got a bigger following than all of them combined.
And do you think that's sheerly because of the way you do content differently?
Correct.
So it's not the sterile, old school stuff?
I used to get dressed up and do funny videos. That connected with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them laughed, but very few saw the magic in it. Hey, I've watched the whole real estate video. Because there's nothing more boring than a real estate agent.
Look at these nice painted walls. Rah, 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 rah.
Welcome. And,
I get you. So they're so engaged with what you guys are doing and what you're dressed like that they don't realise that they're actually being marketed to property.
And what started to happen was when I started doing the funny theme video, there was, you would say 10 agents around Australia doing them 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now there's hundreds of them getting in the news all the time.
Really?
So again, I didn't invent this stuff. I got a mentor that was really on forward thinking, and I implemented faster than 95% of agents he's ever teached around Australia.
So you're certainly an example then.
Yeah.
So even though you might not have started, you're an example and you led sort of the way. And
I brought it up here in Darwin, and then straight away I thought, oh my God, this is starting to work after 2 years, and all the other agencies are going to catch up and start doing videos.
Yeah.
Sally, it's been 5 years. They've only just started doing videos like a year ago.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? Because I would ask, how come you guys, because I've got certain friends in certain agencies, and I would say, how come you guys aren't doing video? Oh, we've got our head manager that's going to come up and teach us how to do it. Rah, 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 rah. And I used to hear the same stories.
Yeah. Why is that though? What do they mean, teach us how to do videos?
I don't get it. So it's
get some personality together, go and get your property and just
no,
do it,
but I guess here's what it is. In this world, power is shifting. You used to be the big boss, and you used to just teach what you could teach, so they could be good, but never great.
Yeah.
So they never wanted you to be great.
Yeah.
Now,
they never wanted you to be better than them, right? Because then you're a threat.
Yeah, so I've done it the opposite way, where I just give, tell you exactly how it is, and if you can benefit from it, let me know.
Yeah.
And no, it was a new concept up here.
Yeah. I think you sort of indirectly, you make a good point on the change in power. So you're saying, previously, like your mentors were sort of, you look up to them and they lead the way. But now, particularly with social media, so whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, anything, everyone can have power. Everyone and anyone can become somebody.
Spot on.
And like you were using the word before, influence other people.
My
so
word.
whether it's directly associated with your job, so if you're a real estate guy or you have a pizza business, anyone can get that power if they figure out, for example, how to do video and communicate their message.
And how to connect in today's world.
Yeah.
So that's what I find. You do pizza, but no one in the Northern Territory does pizza like you.
Yeah.
That's why I connected with you.
Yeah. I mean, even with LinkedIn, like just thinking about video and getting started. So I get it's a bit different because my video approach obviously is not necessarily directly associated with the work I do, but when you're saying, for example, the other real estate agents go, oh, we need someone to train us and teach us how to do it.
Yep.
And I mean, you're overcomplicating something that's so simple. Like, for example, with mine, I thought, you know what, for a bit of fun, I had no agenda. I was like, I'm just going to start producing videos on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Started doing just the art of the start. Just get started, right? And you figure it out along the way. I
agree.
get it. If you're marketing a business, you probably need to be a little bit more professional about it. But I think that's why people are connecting, and that's why my following's growing so quickly, because it's just raw, and it's like I'm learning along the way, and we're doing this together. I'm not trying to overstage this so that, because I'm not worried about what I'm saying. No. If I slip up or I have to correct myself, like, I'm human. It's
authenticity,
cool.
my friend.
Yeah.
So I guess I put it like this. You're following on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can put all the pizza shops in the Northern Territory together.
Yeah.
And your following alone beats all of them combined with all the big agencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to keep going back to pizza because to me, you're an influencer and you are the marketing future. You are the marketing future.
Actually, thinking about, obviously, like, for example, in your case, I can imagine for you with iProperty, a lot of people, I suppose, whether they follow or engage with iProperty, it's because of you as a person.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And I was at the World Business Forum in Sydney the other week, and a woman gave a presentation on trust and how there's a huge trust change happening in the world. So, for example, in the past, we would... For example, think about banks. We trusted the big institutions. So we didn't necessarily trust people. Right. It was, okay, they're a well-established business. We trust them. But now it's changing and people are trusting people more. That's Even with things like ride sharing and stuff, we're trusting people more than we trust organizations. Even look at, Facebook is an example, or the Royal Commission into the banks at the moment.
Yep.
We trust person to person more than we trust the big institutions anymore.
Spot on. So I say the way that I say that is no one cares about Ray White. No one cares about iProperty. No. But they care about the person.
Yep. And if they connect with you, then they're going to subsequently connect with your business.
Correct.
And that's the way to do it. So, I think people are the way of the future. It's not like big brands anymore. The brands fall under the people.
We're giving a lot of gold right now.
We should keep it.
Can I ask about, I know you've recently been blessed to get on stage and on a few recent forums or on stage in Sydney, was it?
So I was invited to speak at the Australian Arab Business Network monthly dinner.
Well done.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, to be honest. There was a room of about 120. Yep. A lot of them actually property developers and investors, stuff like that.
Right.
So it was a bit sort of overwhelming, actually, because I was talking about the topic of personal branding and the mindset you need to be in to leverage on personal branding. Because obviously, like I was just saying, like traditionally, people trusted organizations. So it was all about just marketing and branding your organization, not you as a person who is leading the organization. So when I went in there, I was actually a little bit nervous thinking, all these well-established investors and stuff that I look up to. But the response was overwhelming, and everyone seemed to have loved it. And I thought, okay, this is good.
Yeah,
really
this is
good.
refreshing.
Yeah. So I did that one, and I've actually recently been invited to speak at the. It's not 100% confirmed yet, but the World Forum for Foreign Direct Investment in Sydney next year.
Okay, I couldn't even say that, but yep,
Which
okay.
is crazy. And they want me to speak, so it's not 100% confirmed, but that'll be sometime next year, so it's exciting.
Very proud. And can I just can I just ask about your story? Now, you originally from Darwin?
So I was actually born in Derby in Western Australia. Do you know where that is?
No.
It's 3 hours outside of Broome. So
Gotcha.
at the very top.
Okay.
Came here 2003
Okay.
for my dad's work. So the whole family moved here.
Yep.
Then 2011 moved to Sydney to do my final 3 years of school. Left home, lived with my dad's business partner for 2 years.
Right.
And it was in 2012 I started working at Crust. And then... yeah, and then it sort of all just comes.
Sorry, so you were just working as an employee?
Yeah, I started at a store answering phones. I was just a phone girl.
Hustle.
Yeah.
You hustled.
I told it $10 an hour. Right?
Man, that's so
And that's why
awesome.
when I hear people complain, like they just start a job or something, and I'm only getting paid $15 an hour. It's like, dude, I started on $10 an hour.
Man.
Like you just got to work your ass off, and because when I started, I was casual.
It's okay.
Casual, right? So it was, and I wanted to earn my own money. That's why I went and got a job. And I didn't want my parents to give me money anymore. And I mean, I had maybe 1-2 shifts a week, and I needed more money. I was like, how am I going to get more shifts? It was like, work hard, learn everything in the business so that I become more valuable. And that's how I did it, right? That's how I thought from the outset.
Valuable information right there, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of people see a lot of people's success now, and they expect it so quickly. They all expect success so quickly.
Yeah.
They're not willing to put in the hours and hours and hours and effort to do it.
100% right. Especially in, like, if you think about the mobile phone, for example, in today's world, and how instantly we can get gratification from something or get something done or achieve something, whether it's contact someone, access information, whatever it is. So we're in a world now where it's like instant gratification. We can get things quickly, quicker than we ever could before.
Right.
And that translates over into people's expectations of success as well. And they go,
wow, we're very
you know what I mean? Like, they go, well, I'm not achieving success really quickly. And all they look at is in the media of people like Facebook.
Yeah.
And there's a quote, actually, I don't know who said it originally, something like, most overnight successes were 15 years in the making.
Correct. I put up a similar meme like that. Yeah.
Because people just see it in the media and they go, oh my God, I want that. And it's like, little do you know the work that went on in the
pain, the background, the sweat, the tears, the blood.
Yeah. But most people don't, they don't, I suppose, respect that or appreciate that just because they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
They don't know that it was going on. And it is crazy, it's great. And I worry about like the future generations because of the way we live now. And even unfortunately, I've experienced it with my siblings to an extent.
Right.
They if they don't achieve things extremely quickly, they get easily discouraged.
They're like, no, that's not for me. So quickly.
And I'm like, just keep going. You just got to be persistent. You got to persevere. Like it's not all rosy.
Yeah.
Just because you see on social media all the good sides, right, of people showcasing their work, it doesn't mean you're not working your fucking ass off in the back.
Let me ask you something about one of my mentors that I watch on stage a lot. Are you aware of Gary Vaynerchuk?
So don't actively watch his stuff, but I have seen a bit, and I think it's fucking brilliant. Yeah.
So he says now, you got to put in the effort, right? But don't do things for likes. Just do it because you're authentic. And if you're not good in front of a camera, you don't need to be. Learn what you're good at and go all in on it.
Yeah.
And most people, again, don't go all in on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there is that pressure, and that's probably what he's talking about. People look at what everyone else is doing online and they go, I've got to do that, so I'm just going to imitate.
And then it doesn't work.
Yeah, because they're not authentic and it's not real, it's not natural for them, or they can't pull it off. And then they go, oh, it's not my fault. Life's unfair.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
Like, find what you're good at, hone in on those skills, and you'll be fine.
Let me ask you something. Have you got your own podcast, or have you smashed your own YouTube channel?
No.
What?
I know.
You would crush it.
Someone's told me to start putting my videos on YouTube.
Definitely.
They said you should, because I do actually get quite a few questions from people saying, hey, I've got a friend or a family member that I want to watch your videos, but they're not on LinkedIn or anything.
Correct.
Can you send me a YouTube link? And I'm like, shit, I don't have one. So, and I've been told to do a podcast as well, but... I mean, you're the podcast expert.
Well,
I'm sitting here looking at this studio and all your self-taught skills, and I'm like, oh, that's intimidating.
Hey, we're similar. We're brought up similar. You can do it. But I just thought it was strange that I live in Darwin.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was only one podcast that spoke about, that spoke about Darwin. It was, I think it was a 104.9. I think her name was Jackie Bowie or Jack Bowie. But
Like
she's
the radio 104.
Yeah, and it wasn't a real podcast where we're ungoverned. We can say what we want.
Yeah.
And I thought, hold on a minute. There's no other podcast. And if you listen to our terrestrial radio stations,
Yeah.
I do think they're a bit dated now. You know, same old content, govern and ads and boring. And I'm like, hold on.
Boring.
2 years ago, I'm like, let me play around with this podcast stuff. So I launched Keeping Up with KUWK 2 years ago in 2016 with a cheap, where is it? It's here somewhere.
So keeping up with KUWK, and was it just initially you from the outset?
Yeah, it was just me. Oh, no. And I
was Lauren on? Or?
No, Lauren was, funny you say that. Lauren was in the very first episode
Yeah.
of Keeping Up with KUWK in 2016.
That's great, keeping up with KUWK.
Yeah, well, anyway, yes. And so she was on it, and then I started interviewing people that I thought were innovators for Darwin.
Yeah.
So now we relaunched. I've still got, this is Keeping Up with KUWK now. This is not done weekly, but I've got 2 peas in a pod. So my colleague Peter, we do a weekly show where we talk about Darwin, unscripted, ungoverned, have a bitch, enjoy, celebrate.
Yeah.
And now we're sort of throwing it out to the world, come visit Darwin.
Yeah.
And what's inadvertently happened is we've had 400% growth month over month.
Wow.
Our second biggest audience is from the US, and now third biggest listeners is now in France. And we get this from all these new analytics. And this podcast,
Crazy.
yeah, and this podcast and the one in 2 Peas in a Pod can be found anywhere apart from Spotify, which we're working with now. So any Android, any app, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, we're all on everything.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible that you've got a huge audience, US, France.
Growing.
Why do you know why that is? Like, why the US and why France? How did
ready?
that come about?
This is why I think you're going to take this to the next level, and I hope you're the next person to do this, is because we all know about Sydney, we all know about Melbourne, we've heard about Perth, we've heard about Queensland. Darwin? What the fuck is Darwin? don't they have just these...
Where is Darwin?
Where the fuck is Darwin? Don't they have, like, you know, a few crocodiles roaming the streets? Because it's the way we're depicted, right?
Yeah.
So what we're starting to do now, there's people all over the world that have either visited here or grown up here or left, and then they go, oh, finally someone talking about Darwin.
Yeah, wow.
So
people are like very intrigued because like, what's this place in
what's
Australia
this Darwin?
that's apparently a capital city and we've never heard of it?
Correct.
Like, yeah, wow.
So not much in it, but authenticity and
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love the 2 Ps in the pod, by the way.
Yeah, so
that's great.
actually, did you actually know that we actually launched it at the start of the year, but it wasn't called that?
Yeah, it was called something Morons.
Yeah, Legendary Morons.
Legendary Morons.
Because whether you think we're legendary, that's up to you. Whether you think we're morons, you might be completely right.
Or maybe a combination of
yeah,
both.
or maybe there's a combination of both. You're correct. But a few innovators in this town suggested maybe changing it.
Yeah.
And I took it on board when I like listening to feedback. I don't need positive feedback.
No, you want honest feedback.
I want
right?
honest feedback.
Whether it's positive, negative, yeah.
Yeah, and then we changed it to 2 Peas in a Pod. So thank you, Leon Loganathan from Ward Keller, for
that's awesome.
seriously suggesting that.
I love the guys at Ward Keller.
And I'll tell you something else, and I promise the last thing I'll say, is Australian advertisers have tripled down this particular year on podcast advertising. And we're and what we've done is, whilst, sorry to do this to you, terrestrial radio is starting to drop in listeners. We've got our first corporate sponsor on board, being Ward Keller.
Wow, that's awesome.
So the way that you do it in a podcast is, again, similar to what cable did to Netflix, where, Netflix is so popular because it's in your own time. Mm-hmm. This podcast is in your own time. You can listen to it whenever you want. Yeah. And there's no ads every bloody how long. But with our 2 Peas in a Pod, there's a little ad at the start, 45 seconds about Ward Keller. And, it's growing.
Yeah, wow. I was actually speaking to someone the other day from the radio industry.
Yeah? How real were they?
Oh, look, good person.
Oh,
and
great,
was very real, and said that he actually thinks like radio's it's going down.
Well, I like this person already. He's a realist.
And he said that. He said, I can imagine in, say, 10 years,
Yep.
he's going to be very, very different. He said that, I mean, and I'm sure he won't, no one will know who he is. I'm not going to mention it. So
Yeah,
you
great.
shouldn't mind that I say this. But he said that he envisions that the way radio, if you like, could look in the future
Sure.
is that you'll probably still have, say, for example, your key announcers. So whether it's a Kyle and Jackie O or something.
Love it. Yeah.
So you still have those key people, but their announcements and their shows are pre-recorded.
Okay.
And that you will have some sort of app or software where you choose your podcasts. Because
Okay.
obviously podcasts are a huge thing and they're going
Huge.
very quickly.
They're growing huge.
And it's like a replacement, an alternative to radio. You get to listen to probably more valuable content.
Correct.
You know, you can mix your music in there if you want. And he said he envisioned you almost have this hub
Yep.
where you can, for example, go, okay, well, I want the Kyle and Jackie O show and I want to put it on this playlist. And you might have like a combination of music files, podcasts you like, and their show.
Right.
So you almost create like your own custom
Radio show. Yeah. That
and
would
you get
work.
a bit of everything.
That's clever.
Does that make sense?
That makes
and that's
total
what
sense.
I thought. I said, well, like, you've really thought about this. And
Yeah.
and like you said, he's a realist. He said that's the way he envisions it going, something similar like that,
He's onto something.
because people are
Yep.
tuning out of radio.
Sally, I'm blessed to have you today. Thank you for
I'm
your
awesome.
time.
Thank you for having me.
Can we close it out? What would be your biggest advice to, let's say, a 20 to 30-year-old getting in this corporate world?
Yeah.
What would, I don't know, be something they could take away from this podcast?
Yeah, right. Okay, let me think.
From their heart.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. With a focus on, like, just with LinkedIn and stuff like that in mind, and discovering, you know, rather recently in the last 12, 14 weeks, the power of it.
Yeah.
But not limited to LinkedIn. I think one of the biggest things would be is that, like I said, that discussion I heard from a woman in Sydney the other week about the way trust is changing in society.
Yep.
That for big corporates and all that sort of stuff,
Yep.
a big one for them is putting faces to the business. And I actually did a hour and a half brainstorming session with some of the Qantas Ventures marketing team about this, and personal branding for not just the leaders of the organisation, but employees within the organisation as a corporate firm, because not only does it help the employees in terms of building their brand personally and professionally, but it also improves the credibility of the organisation, because if you have evangelists everywhere in the business, like, that's incredible, right? So that would be the biggest thing, is putting more faces to the business.
Love it.
Because there's, you know, if you employ teams, some corporates, you know, you employ teams of like 200, 300, 500 people.
Yep.
Like, you're not capitalizing on having those people there. You've just got them hidden in an office. Put them on the forefront, because people will trust them and fall in love with them.
Wow.
That would be a big one. Thanks for having me, though. This is awesome.
Thank you for coming through,
I love
Sally.
your energy. It's brilliant.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.